Okay, so when you're structuring the screenplay, we'll start, you have tragedy, romance, but you also have the fantastical world. How did you balance, did you focus on the relationships first before you did the fantastical? What was your structuring style?
Well, from the beginning, I knew I wanted to make a magical realist film. But I don't like, and I don't stick to any particular genre. I like to write and interweave between genres. So utilizing tragedy, a little bit of comedy, a little bit of genre, not in the American sense of the term being horror, but like, a genre-ish film, magical realism. So it came naturally, and then the balance, I think, came through 40 rewrites, finding, but it all began with the emotional center of the character and her journey. And her journey is basically from closing down as a human being and not having an emotional life anymore after a tragedy and being able to slowly open up. That process, which is a map-making process, is what mechanically opens her up, but also emotionally opens her up.
But as a writer, you had to track that through time. So that must have been kind of an interesting track. Where is she in each time frame?
Well, I don't want to give away what happens in the movie, but there is a question as to what is actually true and not true in regard to the time travel ideas. And there are a lot of flashbacks to earlier in her life, which inform a map-making journey through the present, which returns her to the past. And that's the key. So it's about map-making and finding memories in the present.
But did you structure, like, let's say, index card? Did you go straight through?
I don't use index cards, no. I do very different things for very different movies. This movie came through a purge, an emotional purge. I just vomited out the first draft, and in the end, it ended up in some weird esoteric place in the first draft, and then it was like noted back to be very much more literal. Other movies, I then wrote for television for years, and they make you outline absolutely everything for each step, in America at least. And so now I oftentimes do films where I actually am structuring beforehand. Depends on the movie.
Now, what did you see in Naomi that you knew she's the only one that could play this character?
I'd known Naomi through her commercial work, through her big films. I knew she was musical, and the main character is a musician. And then I saw I think it was a BBC television show, and she played a secondary part, but her small role blew me away. And I thought she was honest and beautiful and musical, and it's one of those things where you just know that that's your person.
Now, Kit, you're playing a little against type in this movie. What did you say? All right, why? I see this in Kit that he can play this part.
It was only Kit for me. It was always only Kit for me. When I watched Game of Thrones, very different character. Kit has this deep sadness within him it's a melancholy, but it's also beautiful, and there's a kindness, and I just knew that if he could play the eccentricity of the character, it would transcend. I just knew he could do it, and there was really no other choice. I just knew it was him. I just knew it was him.
Let's start with the directing question. I know you don't give away any plots, but what was the one scene that maybe was the biggest struggle, but in the end, I was really proud it came out. Wow, we pulled this off. Could be even a production challenge.
Production challenge-wise, so we shot 48 locations in 27 days across 4 cities, across London, Bristol, and Cardiff. So everything was a production challenge, and we were trying to create London in Wales and Bristol.
There you go.
So, but what happened? Okay, most difficult. Ended up easiest, but here's the thing. There's a carousel that's in an old abandoned structure that has ruins, and we were supposed to shoot in Cardiff, and we were supposed to bring the carousel into this old ruins, and it had rained terribly the first week, and 2 days before, they were like, somebody heard that we were doing it and said like, the ground is too wet and you might ruin the archaeology of, and we were just completely freaking out. So we had to then suddenly rent a studio and build in the studio that outdoor space. And what we did was we used pieces of architecture that we built and then used set extensions in post. And we had no idea whether on a huge green screen. We had no idea whether it was going to work. And in the end, if we had shot where we had initially intended to shot, it wouldn't have worked. Like it worked out well, but like it was terrifying. It was so terrifying. Yeah.